Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about the important topic that is terms and concept used in plant pathology. So as we know that different terms and concepts which is included in a department of plant pathology, one of the most important terms we have to discuss here. So first one is disease. So as we know that disease means what? Any malfunctioning of host cell and tissue that result from continuous irritation by a pathogenic agent or environmental factor and leads to development of symptoms. That means what? If any abnormality is caused in the normal function of the plant due to the attack of biotic, abiotic or mesobiotic agent that leads to the development of disease or changes in the plants, that is abnormal changes in plant it's occurred due to the attack of different agents. So this is called as the disease. Next one is disorder. Disorder means what? Non-infectious plant diseases due to abiotic causes such as adverse soil and environmental condition are termed as disorders. Okay, so that means what? The as we know that abiotic causes like the soil and environmental conditions, like the deficiency of nutrients, then the deficiency of nutrients in soil also, or soil abnormalities, or environmental conditions, or increase or decrease in the level of environmental conditions. For example, increasing the temperature leads to the development of black heart of disease of potato. Okay, so such a abnormalities is caused due to the abiotic agents or environmental or soil factors is called as disorders. Next one is pathogen. So pathogen is nothing but an entity or the agent, usually a microorganism that can initiate or produce the disease. Okay, so that means what? The infectious agent of the or infectious agent that leads to cause disease is called as pathogen. It may be fungi, bacteria, virus, etc. The next one is here, the next concept is parasite. So what is meant by parasite? When one microorganism or organism which derive the materials or nutrient that need for the growth from other living plants is called as an parasite. That means one organism is dependent on another microorganism or another organism to derive its nutrition. Okay, so it's called as parasite. Then pathogenicity means what? It is the ability of the pathogen that to cause the disease. Okay, so the capacity or ability of pathogen to leads to form the disease is called as pathogenicity. Then pathogenesis means what? It is the chain of events that leads to development of disease in the host or sequence of progress in disease development from the initial contact between the pathogen and its host to the complete of the syndrome. That means pathogenesis means what? It is a chain of events that leads to disease development in the host. Okay, that means what? For example, pathogenesis means what? The chain of events. That means, for example, suppose the plant is infected by any pathogen. So the different step is conducted by a different manner. For example, the deposition of the spore on leaves, then germination of the spores on leaves, then penetration or entry of the pathogen inside the leaves, then multiplication of the pathogen inside the host, and last one, the development of symptoms on the host. So after the development of the host, that means after complete development of host, that leads to development of disease. So whatever the steps that are involved in between that, so it is called as a pathogenesis. Okay, the next one is the sign. So sign means nothing but it is the pathogen or its parts or produce the symptoms on host plant. Okay, so that means what? Any part produced in on the host plant. That means what? Any infectious agent which is exactly responsible to cause the disease. So it is diagnosed after the microscopic observation. Actual presence of pathogen inside or outside the host is called as sign. It may be, if suppose there is a fungal pathogen, So which exact fungal pathogen is responsible to cause that particular disease, which is correctly diagnosed by the microscopic observation. So it is called as an the sign. Symptoms means what? It is the external or internal reaction or alternation of plant as a result of disease. That means the expressions of disease is there. Suppose any plant is infected by any disease or pathogen, so plant express itself. So such a expression or changes or abnormal changes in the plant is shown by the host is called as an symptoms. Then syndrome means what? It is a set of varying symptoms characterizing a disease are collectively called as syndrome. That means as we know that the different symptoms are produced in the host on the host. For example, hypertrophic symptom, then hypotrophic symptom, necrotic symptom. When all the symptoms are grouped together, then it is called as syndrome. Then what is meant by facultative saprophyte? So facultative saprophyte means what? Those parasite which are originally parasitic in nature. Those parasite which is originally parasitic in nature, but due to certain environmental condition, that pathogen it becomes saprophytic. So if in the environment, if there is a abnormal condition is there, so pathogen or parasitic pathogen behaves as a saprophyte. Okay, so that's why it is called as an facultative saprophyte. So it is called as an facultative saprophyte. The next one is there inoculum. Inoculum means what? It is a part of the pathogen which in contact with the susceptible host plant cause the infection or the infective propagules which on coming in contact with the host plant cause an infection are known as inoculum. Inoculum means what? It is a part of the pathogen when it comes in contact with the susceptible host. Okay, so if any part of the pathogen, for example, the mycelium, hyphae, bacterial colony, it is called as a part of pathogen when they comes in contact with the susceptible host. Susceptible host means what? The susceptible plant. Okay, so when such a part is comes in contact with susceptible host, so that leads to the it is called as an inoculum. That part of that pathogen is called as inoculum. Then next one is the infection is the what is meant by infection? It is the infection means it is the establishment of parasitic relationship between the two organism following or penetration or following entry or penetration the establishment of parasite within the host plant. That means what? Infection means what? Entry and establishment of the parasite or the pathogen inside the host is called as an infection. Okay, so it is very simple. The next biotroph means what? An organism that can live and multiply on the another living cells. On the another living cells is called as an biotroph. Bio means living cells. Then systemic infection means what? The growth of pathogen from the point of entry to varying extent without showing adverse effect on tissue through which it passes. So systemic infection means what? Once the entry of pathogen inside the host takes place, so most of the time that moves or that pathogen moves systematically inside the host cell without showing any kind of symptoms. So it is called as a systemic infection. It moves through the system of the plants, through the xylem or through the phloem tissues. Then epidemic or epiphytotic disease means what? A disease usually occurs widely but periodically. Okay, in a destructive form is referred as epidemic or epiphytotic disease. For example, late blight of potato is an epidemic in nature. That means what? Within a short period or on certain locality, what happens here? That incidence or that disease will be appears at a certain intervals within 3 months, within 6 months, within 9 months. That incidence will or incidence of such a disease takes place. Okay, so such a disease which is occurred at widely when they appears in the field. So it is called as an epidemic or epiphytotic disease. Then endemic disease means what? Constantly or the disease which is constantly present in a moderate or severe form and confined to a particular country or the district. Okay, so it is called as an endemic disease. So the disease when it is formed in the moderate or severe form, when any disease is available in a certain locality or in the area in a moderate to severe form, mostly within the district, not country, so it is called as an endemic disease. It is not spread throughout the continent to continent. Then sporadic disease means what? It occurs at very irregular intervals. That means any disease which occurs at suddenly, okay, suddenly or at very irregular intervals. Okay, so there is no specific time or the period of occurrence of such a disease. That disease will appear suddenly or quickly without any intermissions, okay, or without any favorable condition. It is called as an sporadic disease. Then predisposition means what? It is the action of set of environments prior to penetration and infection, which makes the plant vulnerable to attack by the pathogen. Okay, so it is related to the effect of environments on the host, not on the pathogen, just before the actual penetration occurs. So, so predisposition means what? Sometimes what happens here, before the entry of pathogen inside the host, that pathogen is hibernate inside the, or the pathogen is hibernate in different forms. Mostly that pathogen is hibernate inside the straw or inside the soil or inside the plant debris. Okay, and when the favorable condition is appear, so such a pathogen attack on the main host. So such a condition is called as the predisposition before the entry of pathogen. The next, hypersensitivity means what? It is the excessive sensitivity of plant tissue to certain pathogens. Affected cells are killed quickly, blocking the advance of obligate parasites. Okay, so some plant tissue are very sensitive, so it is called as an, so very sensitive to the pathogen attack. That means once pathogen attack, once pathogen attack on the host, so it is easily killed. That pathogen is suddenly killed and it blocks the spread of the it blocks the spread of pathogen, okay, by blocking the by killing the host tissue. Okay, so the spread of such a toxins or enzymes stop completely due to the death of sudden death of that tissue. Okay, so in short, what is meant by hypersensitivity? So extra sensitivity of the host cell to the pathogen. So it is called as an hypersensitivity. Mostly obligate parasites are responsible for that. Then perthotrophs or perthophytes or necrotrophs means what? A parasite, when it kills the host tissue in advance of penetration and then lives saprophytically, is called as an perthotrophs or necrotrophs. That means what? Some of the parasite, they penetrate inside the host cell, they lives saprophytically, or they lives saprophytically, or it kills when it needs. Then it is called as an perthotrophs. For example, Sclerotium rholpsi. Then what is meant by vector? Vector means what? It is an organism that carries and transmits a pathogen to a plant. That means from the infectious plant, the pathogen is transmitted by the insect, okay, to the healthy plant. That means, for example, insect that transmit the pathogen from infected plant into the healthy plant, such an insect is called as an vector. Mostly the insect, nematodes and fungi is responsible for that. Then resistance means what? The ability of organism to exclude or overcome completely or in some degree or the effect of pathogen or other damaging factors. That means what? Even though there is an attack of pathogen, the host shows the resistance, having a resistance ability against that pathogen, or even though there is an attack of pathogen, so only little damages takes place due to the resistance ability of pathogen. It's called as an resistance. Then what is meant by tolerance? So tolerance is nothing but it is the disease is, or tolerance to the disease is the ability of plant to produce a good crop even when they are infected with the pathogen. That means what? Even though there is an attack of pathogen, that pathogen do not suffer, the plant do not suffer serious or severely, and it produce yield normally. When such a condition is occur, then it is called as an tolerance. The next, disease management means what? It conveys a concept of continuous process which is based not only on the principles of eradication of pathogen but mainly on the principles of minimizing the damage or loss below economic injury level. That means what? Disease management means what? We have to include the different management strategies for the control of different diseases, including the different disease management tactics. For example, chemical methods or combination of chemical method, physical method, mechanical method, biological method. When the combination of such a disease control measure methods we have to apply for controlling the disease, then it is called as a disease management, or the intensity of pathogen is minimized by the use of the different combination of the control measure methods. Then biological control means what? It is the reduction of inoculum density or reducing the disease producing activity of pathogen or parasite in its active or dormant state by one or more organism, accomplished naturally or through the manipulation of environment of the host or antagonist by mass introduction of one or more antagonist. That means what? We have to reduce the reduction ability or disease infection ability of pathogen. We have to reduce at a certain level by the use of natural antagonist or by the use of different biological control agent. Then it is called as an biological control. There is no use of any chemical agent or chemical spray for management of that disease. Only biological origin is used. For example, Trichoderma viride, Pseudomonas fluorescens, Bacillus subtilis we have to use for control of different fungal or bacterial diseases. Then integrated control means what? So as we know that integrated means what? Integrated means the combination of all the methods of management. As we already discussed about that, all the resource of available for the management of disease. For example, chemical methods, biological methods, then mechanical methods, physical methods. When we use in the combination for the management of that particular disease, that result in the which having the least cost and the least damage to the environment. That means when we apply all the methods of management, so it causes least damage to the environment and to the crop. When such a method is called as an integrated control. So this is about the all the different concepts and methods of management, or sorry, this is all the concept and terms which is used in the plant pathology. Okay, so if you have any kind of difficulty in that terms and concept, so please you can ask personally. Okay, so thank you so much.